And so that's what we're here for. Welcome to the squad on this beautiful morning. What I will cover real fast is the topic of stretching. One of our members in the Momentum Morning group um, asked us about stretching, or she mentioned Samantha. Samantha mentioned that she wanted to do more stretching. So I think I wanted to just touch on that because it's such an important topic. And there's a lot that they're not telling us when it comes to stretching. So I just wanted to share some wisdoms on that and the things that I've came across in my journey. As a young kid, I was a fat little ball, like a hedgehog, and I was sitting in PE on the blacktop. And then this young girl with blonde hair, we were probably in seventh grade, and I was sitting on the blacktop, and she looked at me and she said, "You're not supposed to sit like that." And I was humbled up like that, like a little ball, like a little hedgehog, because my posture was so bad and I was so tight. My muscles were all just so tight. And you know what? I could stretch and stretch and stretch and stretch, and I would just still look like a sausage. And, my mobility was horrendous. It was terrible. And in fact, it's part of the reason why I needed to get a hip surgery because of bad mobility and movement patterns when I was little. And so I wanted to go into a little lesson about stretching and what the stretching effect has. So here we're going to see stretching. Let me get myself in a presentation mode here. Sorry about that. Stretching. All right, so stretching 101. A lot of us just start with static stretching. Many people are taught to just bend over and touch your toes or pull your foot up behind you. See people grab their foot or their ankle. And what that can do is it can lead to issues if you're cold. So if you're not warmed up and you're bending over and touching your toes like that, you can imagine putting a rubber band into a freezer and pulling that rubber band out of the freezer and trying to pull it. It's going to snap, right? And your muscles are not going to snap because you're a warm-blooded creature. It's still an issue, and your muscles, you'll find if you just articulate around the joint a lot where the muscle's at, let's say your shoulder, and you went around in a circle instead of just yanking on it, then you would see that. I'm going to give you a bigger version of myself here. So, if we're going in circles here like this, right, you're going to be warming up that joint a lot more than if you were just pulling on it like that. And so as a general rule of thumb, we think that if you're cold, that it's probably a better idea to do dynamic stretching. So I'm going to play a little ditty here for you guys about dynamic stretching with this silly instructor. There we go. So if we see here, she's doing high kicks, multi-joint here, not multi, excuse me. It's articulating through the joint. So you can see that she's swinging through that full motion there. And that's going to be really useful for when we want to get everything really lubricated and open. You get synovial fluid, you get lubrication fluids in there, and also blood flowing to the joint, which is going to help things heal faster and bring recovery chemicals to that site. So that's something to keep in mind on our journey here. The next thing that I want to talk about, the number 2 thing about stretching, first, number 1, waking up and then doing dynamic stretching, right? Not static. So static meaning holds. Dynamic is more of a full range of motion. So remember that. It's probably better to warm up with dynamic things like kicks, jump squats, crawls. I like doing bear crawls and things like that. That's a great way to warm up. What happens is that when our muscles get tight and we get strains, you can see the difference in the tissue here. The tissue here, you see the muscle is strained muscle versus normal muscle. Here it's bigger, it's more inflamed, it's more spindly. What happens is when this muscular tissue gets more inflamed here, is that if you keep pulling on it, it's like trying to pull on let's say headphones that are in a knot. When you have cords or shoestrings that are in a knot and you just pull on them, the strings are going to get tighter. So here you see that the muscle, when it's tense, if you just keep pulling on your muscles, it could actually make things worse. So what we like to encourage people to do at Stick to It Fitness is to first realize, why am I tight? Why am I tight? Most of the time we identify here, it's either born into bad movement patterns and you have habits that you've adapted that have given you bad movement patterns, which is like driving a car with misaligned wheels. You're going to be driving in a poor alignment, and that's going to jack up your structure. It's going to screw you up. So the first thing I like to think about, besides the tension on that, is the fight or flight response. So in the fight or flight response, when a person is in a panic or afraid, which is not just mental, it's physical, you could be mentally saying, hey, I got this, but your body may not be saying that. So you have to listen to how your body is responding. If your heart rate goes up too easily, if you get anxiety very easily, if you get brain fog, or if you're just tired all the time, a lot of different symptoms that you should be paying attention to. But what happens is if we get into a stressed state, known as the fight or flight, then our body releases a bunch of fight or flight chemicals. You get adrenaline response and a lot of other hormonal issues, which cause your muscles to tighten, and then we recoil into a ball like this. That's why you see people. You see people who are afraid, who curl into a ball more. You will also see, for lack of a better word, the more beta type of people, which I've been, to be more curved and rolled over. Right? So it's a fear response that the body is actually telling the brain. And from my deduction, when you think about, the term chakras, which I always thought of as hui, chakras, if you think about where they're placed, they're actually along regions of muscular tissue that get really tight. And that does change your mental acuity. So therefore, to me, for myself in particular, I used to have a very tight lower abdomen and kind of groin region. It's still pretty tight, but I've been working on it a lot, and I noticed that my stress levels are much lower, that I recover from my workouts faster now, and that my general well-being seems to be better. And I think a lot of that has to do with some of the other principles that I'm about to talk about. So when we can get ourselves out of fight or flight, we can move better. The next thing I want to talk about is myofascial release. This is probably another go-to before you just start tugging on muscles. If you have a hip pain or a lower back pain or a shoulder pain or maybe even knee pain and something is really bothering you, my best advice, I'll tell you this one, when I was working at a gym once, I was working out there and I had a cramp, or not a cramp, but I had like a pain in my knee that was just so immense I couldn't even walk. I was literally hobbling, and I was like, what am I going to do? This thing is outrageous. And if I was just a regular person, I would have went to the doctor. Good morning, Evelyn. Thank you for checking in. And so I would have went to the doctor. So instead, though, because I had thought about, I'd been studying different people like Kelly Starrett, who I'm about to show you, and I learned about myofascial release techniques, like we can see over there. So you can see that that's a foam roller, which is probably something everybody's seen now since they're getting popular. I would probably suggest looking up how to use these. I can make a recommendation tutorial on that later. But right now, what I just want to address is that this is often a neglected tool. I see clients all the time who, when I go see them, they say, oh shit, man, my shoulder hurts over the weekend, or my back hurt over the weekend. And, I ask them, the first thing I ask them is, did you get on your foam roller? Did you get on your lacrosse ball? Did you get on the vibration gun that I got you for Christmas? And then what happens is most of the time they say no, right? So then we'll spend the first 10 minutes of the session on the gun or on the massage tool, and then they'll be like, holy shit, I feel amazing now, right? Every time that happens, it's like inevitable. And it's just like somehow we forget to go back to the roller and the massage guns and those tools. So if you have not tried those things, I highly suggest that you look up a massage gun on Amazon. I think that's probably one of the best tools to use, really, is the massage gun, because it's so versatile with what you can do with it and where you can reach. I really like those the most. Going on in our lesson here, Dr. Kelly Starrett, that's the guy I mentioned. I think Kelly Starrett's probably one of the most recognized people in terms of muscular, movement recovery. Movement recovery is what I would call it. But, it's 2020. We've moved on. 1990 was when we had bent over and touched our toes. Kelly Starrett and a large other group of people. Another guy I like is Naudi Aguilar. But a lot of people have great tidbits to add in to movement training, and this is probably the first book to go to on it. If you wanted to get a book, I would check out Becoming a Supple Leopard. And I believe he's probably came out with another book recently. He's very well known and in demand. He has good stuff, but there's a lot of other really, really good stuff out there if you can't afford this expensive book. I don't even have it. I've just watched so many of his resources online that I felt like I got enough material already. Plus, I've learned from so many other people, physical therapists, different trainers, my coach, a lot of other valuable sources. Okay, that's Kelly Starrett there. He's working on a dead man on the floor while everybody watches him work on the dead man on the floor. And the next one we're talking about, sauna, heat. Bringing heat to the source of your muscles. If your muscles are cold and you're stretching, you're going to have a bad time. But if your muscles are warm and you've been heated up, you'd be surprised how limber you can get. For those of you who have tried hot yoga, I'm sure you can attest that when you get the muscles moving and the body core temperature warm, your muscles are like, whoa, I didn't even know it could stretch like this. And in fact, some people can hurt themselves because they're so warm that they overstretch themselves, which is, I'd still rather be in a place where I'm a little warmer than cooler. Typically, your body can get things done better when it's warmer in the daytime. So, at night you want to be cold, you want to have a cold body temperature, but in the daytime, you want your body to be rather warm. When you're warmer, you digest faster, you metabolize things better. And I think that in general, when you think about heat, when you bring heat to energy to something, it increases the reaction so that compounds are moving faster, right? So if you want to speed yourself up, warm yourself up. And that first way I like to do that is in the sauna. It's really the most indispensable thing for me that has changed my life. So if you haven't tried getting in a sauna in the morning, highly suggest you get in one. If you don't have one, I would probably suggest trying a hot bath or a hot shower and then a cold shower and then doing a back and forth switch. That's really, really good for getting your chemicals warmed up too. And getting you going. And that is also another way to release your muscles and to help you be more relaxed instead of needing to stretch them so hard all the time. You can also consider doing an Epsom salt bath, which is also similar. It's very warm. If you don't have a sauna, Epsom salts are affordable. You can go get Epsom salts and just put them in the bath and chill in there. I know it's hard to get yourself to do these things, and you're like, wow, am I actually going to do this? Do it. Just go try it. Just go try it. Please, because I'm telling you, these things are game changers. I wouldn't just be sitting here at freaking 5 a.m. in the morning shouting this from my microphone if I really didn't passionately believe in this. And I just want to share it with everybody because I think that these things are game changers. They're real game changers. People walk around every day with pains, injuries, back ailments, shoulder ailments, and they're letting it go, just thinking that it has to be that way. And it does not have to be that way. I had 3 doctors tell me I needed a hip replacement surgery, and through these modalities, through all of these things I'm talking about right now, I made it so that I did not have to do that. Right. And multiple clients that I work with, you ask any one of them, I've helped every single one of them come back from some sort of injury at some point. It's just the name of the game. Our bodies do get hurt every once in a while. If you're driving a car, throughout this world, most of us will get in a car accident once in our lifetime at some point, right? Your body just gets in accidents. But we can help bring those things back by using these modalities. Try not to overstretch. Think about doing dynamic kicking. Think about the fight or flight response and keeping yourself relaxed. Think about using foam rollers and myofascial release techniques like massage guns and stuff like that. Go study research tools and study people who know things about mobility like Dr. Kelly Starrett. Heat up your body. Get in the sauna. Go get in some Epsom salt baths. And that is the best way to get your body more mobile instead of just tugging on your muscles by trying to stretch. Wow. All right. That was a lot this morning. Holy cow, I went into that one. And we're going to go into the habit roll call now because we definitely know that in this world, it's all about
work is play.
And that's why we're moving into the habit roll call today. We are checking in under yesterday's Momentum Morning, Should You Count Calories, where I talked about whether or not you should count calories. And I gave it an opinion on why and proved it with a couple of examples. So feel free to check that out if you haven't. Here is our official check-in, starting with Samantha. Let me get my little cam on. There we go. Samantha, here's my official check-in with what I did today. I need to finish my stand goal, but other than that, I did pretty great. And let me just enlarge this so people can see what she's doing. Boom, one shout out for her. That's another habit day checked off in the belt for her on her quest towards the white belt. The stick to it habit building white belt. So we're going to get one shipped out to her once she makes it to the 21-day mark. Congratulations, Samantha. Thank you for checking in with us. You're doing phenomenal. Jonathan, I haven't been on social media much today, which is good, probably. I've been working on other projects, but I'm back at it with some push-ups, 75 to stay alive, baby. What is that, like a speed limit? Evelyn, good morning. Got my stretches in, and she checked in today, too, so I'm going to do both of her check-ins. She checked in yesterday, which I probably read. She had 34 kettlebell swings, 17 clean and lifts, and 6 toe touches. And then today she went to 35 kettlebell swings, 18 clean and lifts, and 7 toe touches. So she went up by 1 on each one of those things. Great work, Evelyn. I'm really proud of you. That sounds like you're increasing those things all And so at some point, you may want to, if you start to feel like this is a lot, if you get overwhelmed, I mean, it's up to you, but if you feel like you're getting overwhelmed, at some point, I would recommend taking your stretching and swings and cleans and all of that, and then picking one of those and focusing more on that thing. So, for instance, you've gotten to 35 kettlebell swings. That's a pretty great number. Pending your form is good, I would suggest that we go up in weight maybe on the kettlebell. Maybe you have somebody around you that can get you a kettlebell or something like that, or you can find one. I know it's a little harder right now in this time, but I'd suggest finding a way to make that a little bit heavier maybe and challenging yourself, depending on how heavy it is already. We should talk about that. Okay, Baron did a 201.4 weigh-in, which is great. His weight's going down. Love seeing that. Samantha said, this is what I should mention. This is what prompted today's thing. She said, morning, I think I really need to stretch today. After hiking yesterday, I noticed that my body is super sore. So that's actually that little statement right there is what prompted that giant lecture on stretching, but it was such an important topic to me. Mike Wassman started off the right today with 12 minutes of meditation. Nice job, Mike. Really appreciating it. You're making your way into the 21-day challenge as well, and maybe it would be a good time to start putting in the back of your brain, what's the next habit that I want to start slowly, incrementally building on so that I can make this baby roll and get the momentum that I want, hence the momentum morning. Because I think you guys are realizing now that the accountability to checking in like this is really delivering the momentum you guys have been craving. So, Iggy, he said, day 12 of deadlifts done and push-ups are feeling good. I looked at the form yesterday on your push-ups, Iggy, if you happen to watch this. That one's for checking in. That one's for the push-ups, baby. The form was so crispy, dude. That looked like crispy chicken. It was so good, dude. All right. Baron said, yesterday's eating was a 10 out of 10. Holy cow. I think I read that. I didn't get to read that one off. Maybe I did. But 10 out of 10 is incredible. And then 9 out of 10, Baron's just slaying it. His weight's going down. His musculature is going up. He added doing squats every day to his routine. I just love seeing it. And he did 11 squats yesterday. He's going to get 12 in today. And goodness gracious, his body is really changing. It's exciting to me. I can't wait to share maybe a before and after picture for you guys so you can see the proof in the pudding of what's going on in this group. You guys all know now, like, there's not a penny in this group. I'm not selling anything directly here. I'm not asking you guys to pay me anything. It's just because the reward is in you guys doing the work to make the change happen, because it feels so freaking good to see you guys change. I mean, I'm telling you, it's worth more than money. All right, I think that was all. I think I had one more. Brandy checked in. Thank you, Brandy, for returning back to the club. Hello, checking in. I've done some evening yoga the few nights, and today felt limber enough in the morning to get a morning session into. Look at that. She's doubling down. Thank you, Brandy, for returning. Welcome back. You're a treat. And I think that might be all of the check-ins for the day. So I think for that, we shall leave you with a couple of our messages to remember on your journey in this world, and to remember to slow down a little bit, because when the day grabs you, you get stuck in these thoughts and you forget to return back to the homeland of self.
Work is play.
So remember that.
Your happiness comes first.
Alrighty. Whoops, wrong one. So that's it. That's today's Momentum Morning Habit Roll Call. We talked about what you may not know about stretching and what they're not telling us. Covered all the aspects of getting yourself warm, making sure you're doing your dynamic stretches and your mobility work, and staying consistent. If you have anything else you want to hear about, leave a comment in the group. Make sure you're checking in with your habits, and make sure you're being a good neighbor. And if you see somebody being an idiot, it's very easy to jump to like a criticism of that person. And I do it every day, but it's good to remember that we're idiots too. So if you want to criticize somebody, remember we all make mistakes. Much love, everybody. Peace out.